the universe. 24 hours of music and talk. Radio without limits. That's why people keep coming back for more. That's ubnradio.com.
Welcome to Both Sides Now, featuring the unconventional duo, Dr. Shirley and medium Kellee White. Two perspectives, one world. This is Both Sides Now.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Both Sides Now. I'm Dr. Shirley.
And I'm medium, Kellee White.
And we have John the engineer with us.
Hello,
today.
hello.
Hi, John.
Hi.
How's everyone doing today?
Very well.
Yeah?
I think so. How are you doing?
Good, good. Excited about the show. We're talking about dreams.
Which is actually one of my favorite topics.
I know. Well, you're the expert on that. I'm not. I just know about, well, I don't know what that means. Maybe.
Well, don't you ever have a lot of clients that come to you or your patients that come to you and tell you, your dreams or their dreams?
They do. They do. And sometimes I can kind of just, I don't know, because I know what they're going through in their life and stuff. And so sometimes I can make some educated guesses, and then other times I ask you.
Right, yeah. That's true, because a dream isn't necessarily a dream. There's all kinds of aspects around dreaming that we'll get into
it's
today.
Fascinating. So I'm really excited that you're going to, enlighten our guests and me too.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to remind everybody that it's a call-in show today, so please call in if you have any questions about dreams, if you want Kellee to interpret your dreams,
Absolutely.
or even do maybe a mini reading.
That's right. Always possible.
What's the number, John?
It's 323-284-7826.
Okay, and it's also on the screen, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what I know about dreams is what I was told in school, that of course I believe it's the, Freud talked about it being the royal road to the unconscious, which I do believe. Mm-hmm. And he believed it more to be more wish fulfillment, like repressed wishes. And then I know Jung came into it and talked about, it's parts of our personalities that are underdeveloped in waking life. And so almost also like we wish we were more like that.
Could be, or another way is making the unconscious conscious.
Conscious, right.
I mean, especially when you have somebody that's really in the dark, that they really don't have a clue of what's going on.
Yeah.
That would, that's also psychological interpretation.
Right, right. What I see a lot is when people are going through, some patients I see, is when they're starting to to change and evolve, and like the old things aren't working anymore, and they're starting to really, really change to a positive way. Then the dreams that they'll come in with will really show that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you had any patients, and I know I've had a lot of clients that have had this one, where they will have reoccurring dreams. And often the reoccurring dream will be of a flood or a tsunami, or, they're out in the ocean, a lot of water, or it's raining and there's a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
So I know how I interpret that. How would you?
Tell me
well,
how you
for me, as soon as I know that somebody's having a dream like that, I will go into its emotions. So water, any type of water in a dream, that will be emotion. Okay. So let's say you have a person that's very repressed and doesn't really, very analytical and doesn't really want to deal with their emotions, or doesn't want to even have emotions.
Right.
Well, it'll come out in the dream state. They're having a dream that, the water has completely covered them. So what are they afraid of? So often I'll take them into a place of, what are you afraid of? Let's talk about this. But it's also, I want to say that whatever the dream is, it's the most important thing is ask the person and everybody out there, what does a dream mean to you?
Yeah.
Because they'll have some idea. Or they may really say, I really don't know. And at that point, we go into it. And there are a lot of different ways that I analyze dreams.
Right,
But the water dream is really important for emotions. So anybody out there that has water dreams, it's really what's going on emotionally with you. What do you need to think about? What are you afraid of anything? It doesn't mean that you're afraid of water or that. I mean, emotionally, what are you afraid of looking at?
Right. Is water movement also?
Can be. It can be. Yeah.
Yeah.
And often what will happen, too, is let's say somebody's having a dream that they're in the ocean. And this has actually happened to me, and I don't know if it's happened to anybody, where all of a sudden I see a shark.
Right.
Now, am I really afraid of sharks? You bet, Would I really go into the ocean? No. But that, for me, is a totem. And so a totem in a dream is something that can appear It's some sort of an animal or a fish or something. Could be anything.
Totems are like animals, right? Or even
It's a
like
spirit.
insects.
Absolutely,
or,
could be an insect. And when they come into the dream state, it's a real message. Now that's a message. So I would encourage everybody, if you have a dream. I had a gal the other day who had a dream of a panther, and it's funny. That was a couple of days ago. That was Thursday. And since then, the word either pan or panther I have seen several times in the last 48 hours.
Wow.
So I wrote that one down. It's reclaiming your power. So dreams of panthers are reclaiming your power. So I would encourage everybody to go online, and actually there's a fabulous book on totems, and it's by Ted Andrews. And you might want to put this book up. It is called Animal Speaks. And you can look up. So let's say you have a dream of a great white in there. That could be you. The totem message could be you looking at your own fear. You know, not just fear of the water and fear of sharks, but I mean, what is your fear in life?
So fear in
fear
general.
that's keeping you, preventing you from moving on.
So then sharks are a totem of taking a look at your fears?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay. And what's preventing you from moving on? Why are you not moving on? What is it? Because their totems will give messages to whatever it is that you are needing.
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, what about a horse? I mean, that seems to come up a lot in dreams.
It sure does. Yeah. Horses bring freedom.
Oh.
So if you are wanting freedom, so there's all kinds of interesting horses. It depends on if it's a working horse, maybe it's you want freedom from your career, frankly.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've actually had the dreams of the flying horses.
Oh, okay.
Which is really incredible. And that brings a little more mysticism to it as well. But it also allows you to go to the different areas up in the dream state. It allows you to go higher up and higher up in a dream state. So maybe you would connect with the other side.
Okay. Okay. So what do you mean by when you say the different areas are the higher and higher states?
Well, when you were asleep, so let's say we have a regular dream. And a regular dream would be you're going to school and you forget your homework.
Right.
Who hasn't had that, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
That's like an anxiety dream. Or you're going to go out and get up to have to speak and then you forget what you're supposed to say.
Right.
Or the other one is you go to school naked whatever.
Yeah.
So again, pretty much it all goes to fear or anxiety.
Yeah.
But in those kind of dreams, you can talk to the person about. But sometimes what will happen in a dream state is you will be allowed, the soul is like allowed to go a little higher up on the other side and sees what's going on the other side. And maybe you would receive a divine message during that point.
Okay.
Another thing that happens, which happens often, is somebody who you love has crossed. They've passed over. They will come to you in the dream state. So how that would work is we raise our vibrations to this other area, like the astral plane. It's another plane, another dimension. And they lower theirs and they meet us there. And so in dreams, when this happens and you see somebody, this is a real event. This is what we call a lucid dream. And a lucid dream is where you are asleep, but you're very aware that you're dreaming. You're very aware in it. You have a consciousness about it. And that's where you'll have a lot of visitations in a dream. Have either of you had dreams about losing people or people that have come to you, your mother or grandmother that has come to you? Or friend?
That's what I was going to ask you about, because I know that, all the dream research shows that we all dream, particularly in that REM, the REM sleep time. But I don't remember a lot of my dreams at all. And I was curious if you had any
tips?
Any tips about, or why do some people remember their dreams and why some people don't?
Well, dreaming to me is a real right-brained thing. It all goes down to that, Cheryl.
There we go.
I mean, if you're a left-brain kind of a person, I've had so many people say, I never remember my dreams. All right. So for those out there that don't remember their dreams, please, starting tonight, take a journal. Put a journal next to your bed. I have one.
I have one too.
And I don't actually have to even leave it next to my bed. I actually have it in my office because I never forget. I'm one of these people that remember, because I tell myself before I go to bed, please remember everything. And I try to remember as much as I can. Often what will happen too in the middle of the night, let's say somebody, you do have a visitor.
Yeah.
You have somebody who's passed over that comes to visit. It could be an aunt. It could be a friend of yours. It could be anybody that comes. Often what will happen is your bladder will go, I have to go now. I have to go now. And that will wake you up. It's like a signal. It's like a physical signal. I have to get up and go to the bathroom. Oh, and then you can remember. And that might be at 3 or 4 in the morning.
Oh, so you're saying that it's a signal, so maybe you can
wake
up and remember what just
Yes,
happened.
Absolutely. And at that time, if you had a dream journal by your bed would be really nice. Or a notepad, anything just to say, my cousin Mark just dropped by. That would be a really good thing to remember. And then a lot of times then the memories will start to flood. Oh, yeah, this is what happened. I had a really hysterical dream with my father. When my dad died, it wasn't funny, but when he was a funny guy. But when he passed away 2 weeks later, right after he passed away, he came to me, and it was in a dream state. But I was very awake in a dream state.
Right.
It was so lucid. And I saw him at this university. And at first, so I walk into this, all of a sudden I found myself in this university, and I see my dad, and he looks a lot younger than he would have looked. And he comes walking wearing this beautiful blue outfit, and he comes in, and I said, Dad, and he went, babe, like he was shocked to see me, and I said, Dad, look, I know we don't have a lot of time, but can you just tell me, what are the mechanics of when you passed away? Like, am I below you? Are you above me? I mean, he goes, this is too much. It was it was too much for him. Because you
wanted to get some answers.
I wanted the answers, Dad.
Right,
just tell me from the beginning
what
happened.
happens. Yeah,
I can read all about it, and I can hear from my other people, but I'd rather hear from you. What happened?
That's so funny.
So it was kind of funny. And then he's come to me not that long ago. He comes to me pretty often. I'd say every few months or so, 3 or 4 months. And he's wild. He'll pick up some wild thing. Like I had a dream. I was living in my old home, and I was there before you open the door. I was like in a little wait area, and there was a knock on the door, and then I heard knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door, and I'm like,
so
what?
Funny.
It's hysterical. And then I open up the door, and there's my dad, and he hugged me. So they do make visits. It's important for everybody to know that. And I did a reading for somebody yesterday, and it was the ex-boyfriend had come through. And he had said to me, he said, oh, I've been with her every night, and I'm spooning with her, and I'm with her every night. And he said, no, he's telling me that he's in your dreams every night. And she said, well, I kind of had this feeling, but I can never remember them. Mm-hmm. So that's somebody that I would say would need to start to wake up, and that would be the other side's job, kind of to wake you up a little bit, so you can need to be prepared to remember these dreams. But those are lucid dreams that people have where they have visitations. Mm-hmm. I was going to say another type of thing that occurs. Have you guys ever heard of astral projection?
Yeah, I was about to ask about that. Yeah.
So have you ever had an experience of it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to tell us?
Well, it's for me, it's when it feels like you are flying outside of your body, and you're in another dimension, and that can be almost in a dream state, but also you're more vividly aware of kind of what's going on, for me anyway. And then when I come back in, it's sort of like I jolt back into my body. So that's the only thing I can remember about it.
It's a wild thing. It's wild. The first time I ever had that experience, I was 21 years old, and it was a spontaneous thing. I was preparing to go to sleep, but I was in a high energy state. So I would say that for people that you almost have to be, but for me I was in a very high state, high energy. And all of a sudden I felt I just left. Yeah. Like through the top of my head.
Feel like a pop?
Not even like a pop. Just, I don't even know how to describe it. It was a boop. And I looked up, and I was at the corner. I was at the corner of the room I was in. Wow. And I looked around, and I knew that I was attached. So you never just leave your body. You'd be
attached
what
by
we
the
call
silver
dead
cord.
Then. But I knew I was completely attached with a cord. And I knew that I could be at any place at any time. And it helped me understand that we are, at that time at 21, that there's more than just what we see here. There's more than just the body. There's the soul. And that was my first exploration with it. I didn't even try it. It just happened. It's spontaneous.
Well, I always wondered when you go into a dream state and maybe when you don't remember your dreams, are you doing work on the other side? Like literally.
Oh, yes. Yes, absolutely. You're doing work on the other side.
Like what kind of work? I mean, what would
I'll
that,
tell you.
what would that
So,
be like?
in a dream state, let's say you're in a dream, you're having this dream that you can remember when you wake up, that you were like somewhere studying some newfangled something. Well, you probably were, you know. So
I
we can
see.
get ideas. You know, I remember I won the best recipe with the most garlic for the Gilroy Garlic Festival years and years ago. And how that came to me, that recipe was in a dream state.
Really?
That's exactly how it came to me. In fact, it was called garlic ravioli, and it was a very clever name. And
Oh, my God.
it was really good. It was a big deal back in the day. But that whole process of how to make it came to me in the dream state.
That is so interesting.
So let's say you've been working on, let's say you can't find something. Often that can happen too. Hope you're listening, Don. You'll find those things you're looking for. He's missing some stuff. But that can come to you too in a dream state. Or just something, all of a sudden you might have, let's say you were interested in taking a language. All of a sudden you may find yourself receiving information in that other language that helps you too.
Yeah. There, you know, it does so pertain to kind of where you're at. I remember as a kid, my recurrent dream was that I was being chased in the jungle by a huge gorilla.
Okay, gorilla.
Oh, what's the totem?
Well, I have to. That one I don't know,
Okay,
but
look
I'm
it
going to
up.
look that up.
Well, and it was a recurring dream, and I was always so afraid at night. At night, I was so afraid to fall asleep thinking someone was going to come in through the window because my room was always the one by the street. And so, you know, I mean, it just kind of obviously pointed to that. But one time I remember, I must have been, I don't know, about 12 or, you know, one of my favorite bands was Kiss. I'm outing myself. And it was before when they still wore the makeup. And I had a dream that they had taken off their makeup. And just as I was going to see them, you know, without the makeup, I woke up. Because, of course, they hadn't taken off their makeup yet. So nobody knew what they looked like. And so my dream was that they had taken off their makeup. And just when they were going to show me their face, I woke up. So obviously I didn't know what they looked like because they hadn't done that yet publicly.
I'm looking at the gorilla, and there's
What is
quite
it?
a few meanings.
Okay, well, let's, because none of mine's thing is working
Okay.
here, so please.
All right, so if a gorilla comes to you in your dreams, and this is spiritanimals.com that I'm getting this information from, to see a gorilla in your dreams suggests that you may be too over the top in your behavior. Perhaps you are compensating for your rigidity and stiffness in your waking life. Alternatively, the gorilla symbolizes your primitive impulses, wild nature, and repressed sexual energy. If the gorilla is hiding in it,
I was little. I was like,
well, if the gorilla is hiding, it
8?
indicates that you're looking for a sense of security or protection with regards to your sexuality, but it wasn't. It was chasing
No,
you.
it was
So,
chasing me, yeah.
so it could also mean that you need to take action. And when we dream of the gorilla, it's a signal that we've been resting on our laurels and it's time to start earning that which we, instead of waiting for the resort, basically the rewards to fall into your lap. So it's a signal for us to raise our heads and recognize that it's more of a dignity thing is what this is coming across in this. Like I said, there's so many interpretations, but it says the gorilla also gives a message of leadership, but not of the aggressive kind. The gorilla manages other members within the troop with temperance, understanding, compassion, and balance. Very seldom is aggression or violence required in order to get the point across. So the gorilla reminds us that leaders will never win respect if they're too much of a bully. The message here is that decency, honesty, and quiet charisma wins loyal followers.
do you think maybe Trump dreams of gorillas a lot?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, because it's interesting because it says, are you bullying someone to get your own way? Sometimes you just need to back off and let them make their own mistakes, or simply kick back and listen carefully. They may know more than you think, and that's where the gorilla says.
What about, I mean, I guess, you know, we can think about these things, but what about, I mean, I've always been a huge lover of monkeys. I mean, what if they would just had to do with that kind of connection?
Well, that was the first thing
who
I
knows,
thought
I
of.
guess, right?
I always thought of that because, I mean, I know that you love monkeys and you go and visit a chimpanzee, right? Or
My boyfriend.
Yes,
in Palm
yes,
Springs.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Cheetah, my boyfriend.
cheetah, yeah.
Cheetah.
So it could have been just a sign that, that they're going to...
It could, I mean, I had a stuffed animal.
But it's weird that we'd be chasing you and you'd be fearful of it, though. That's what
I was always really, really afraid of nighttime.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think it was just kind of...
Is it possible that it was chasing you to wake some part of you up? That could, I mean, number one, it could have woken you up sexually. I mean, that certainly could have been. 8, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
but
possibly. I mean, I don't know exactly what was going on.
You did say
that
cheated
time.
my boyfriend.
Cheated my boyfriend.
Yeah.
I don't, I think it has so much to do also to what's going on in that time.
Well,
because
absolutely.
that's kind of, when I look at dreams, when people ask me about dreams, I'll look at that and what's going on in there.
Well, let me go over the traits of the gorilla real quick, just so that, because I think you embody all these traits: leadership, strength, intelligence, gentleness, balance, intuition, clairaudience, dignity, honor, compassion, respect, temperance, cleverness, communication, loyalty, nobility, nurturing, connectivity, generosity, and wisdom. There's not a single negative one on there.
That is so true,
So there you
Shirley.
go.
Thank you, John.
Wow.
You're so sweet.
Very true.
Wow.
That's very true. I mean, that
I'm a monkey.
no, that all
You're a
resonates
gorilla.
with me about you. Yeah.
Wow, that's so funny. But it's so interesting. I mean, I find that fascinating. Dream
Oh, yeah.
interpretation and, what it can be. I remember the first time when I was studying, obviously getting my hours by someone who was not at all spiritual or anything. And he was teaching me about, the different personality disorders. And we talked about them a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And one was a schizoid, which was that magical thinking. So I remember before he goes, come into the session with me. She's okayed it. And, I was totally green. I was still in school, had no clue. And I wanted to really understand. So I go, but how do you know she's schizoid? And he goes, just wait. So I sit in the session. And so then he says, you agreed that my student would be here, blah, blah. Well, can you tell her a little bit about yourself? And so she looks at me and then goes, well, I've been astroplaning out of my body since I was 1.5 years old. And she tells me this, and my supervisor's sitting over here, and he looks at me, right? And I knew that if I looked at him, I was going to, because, my big thing was, how do you know? And that's the first thing that comes out of her mouth. And, of course, back then, I hadn't met you. I didn't know about spirituality. So it really sounded like she was,
Crazy.
Yeah. And so that was my first, kind of, the first time I even heard the term astroplaning.
And you heard it from a schizoid.
And I heard it from who perfectly might have been astroplaning,
She
but
may have
because
been.
she was seeing a
Too
therapist.
Too much.
Exactly. Because she was seeing a therapist that really didn't know
Right.
anything about it or believe in it, then you diagnose differently,
Right.
which is
Very true.
kind of can do really a disservice, I think.
Yeah.
For some people.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So when I look at a dream, I want to see it from all kinds of angles. There's another way to interpret it that the homeopaths, the way they interpret it is they say in your dream that you are every part of your dream.
Yes, that I've
So
heard.
that sometimes alarms people. They're the bad guy, they're the good guy, they're the whatever, which is every part of yourself that you have.
Right.
Really.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's one way. And then again, there's the spiritual way. But it's always about having an awareness. It's always about awareness.
I think it is. It's kind of, sometimes I see it as kind of what your unconscious is working through. For example, if I'm dealing with people who've suffered, a big traumatic event, and in the dream, it's a traumatic dream, but then I'll ask, how did you feel in the dream? Oh, well, I wasn't scared.
Right.
Or I was able to get away or something. So that tells me that unconsciously they're really beginning to work through that kind of empowerment that when you've gone through a traumatic experience, sometimes, unfortunately, you're left to feel helpless at times.
Oh, I bet.
So that's how I
Yeah.
kind of interpret those kind of dreams. I ask them, how did you feel in the dream? And that gives me a little bit more insight that can help me.
Do you feel like when you with your patients that have had a lot of trauma, that their dreams are more either towards nightmares or towards traumatic dreams?
They're more nightmares.
They're more
Yeah.
nightmares.
Yeah.
Well, that would be a lot of PTSD. That's a
Exactly.
telltale
exactly.
sign
Right.
of it.
Yeah. So, and I think, and I think it's also, they're unconsciously trying to work it through, through.
yeah.
But if, so then my therapy, sometimes I see it as kind of, their unconscious telling me what to work on. So if they're still feeling very powerless in the dream, then that tells me I have to help them with empowerment, with their ability to say, no, stop. And, we do some somatic stuff with the hands doing this, because then this tells the body, you can set a boundary, you can stop people.
Yeah.
So it'll sometimes, I feel it clues me into what I need to work with them.
It'd be interesting to take you into like a regression, like a guided meditation with that one dream that you were talking about with that gorilla that was chasing you. And if you were to stop and to embrace that gorilla, to see what the message was from the gorilla, because it almost feels like to me that you were running away from all those traits that it was
good point.
that it was trying to bestow in your life, and which looks as if you've learned that because you have that now. So that's
our
the
new
first thing.
psychologist.
Wow, I love
You
it.
got
John.
it.
I didn't think
Spiritual
about that.
psychologist.
It could be, or it could be to turn around and and look at the gorilla in the eyes.
Yeah, and face
There was
the
someone-
fear.
I can't remember who told me this. And I thought it was just so brilliant. It was a story, and I don't know if it's a Native American story or I don't know, but it's a story about a man who tries to scare his child and tells him there's a monster in the closet, to try and get him to do something or something like that. And so the kid opened the closet door, and just kind of faced whatever was going to be. Like the kid wasn't going to made to be scared. The kid opened the closet door, like almost like facing your fears.
Facing
It's
the
such an interesting to me metaphor. When I was told that, they said, and the kid opened the closet door, and it kind of took me a little bit to get what it was, and I went, the kid didn't remain helpless at night, afraid of the closet. He opened the closet door.
Well, it's very interesting. Every night, my mom, when she would go to sleep, every single night she would start screaming, "Help! Help! Help!" every night because she would see things all the time. She would see
When she would fall asleep.
as soon as she would fall asleep, she would start to see things. Other spirits. She'd see spirits.
Oh wow!
And this happened every night. In fact, to the point where she would say, "Help me, Daddy! Help me, Daddy!" And my dad would say, "Listen, it's okay that you're screaming, but at least would you ask for me?" But this went on and on and on, and then so after my head injury, and I'm seeing things all over the place. And she started telling me, I saw this person run across, and then this is now happening with her eyes open as she's going to sleep. And I said to her, either ask them what they want, but it's nothing to be afraid of. I mean, they're not going to hurt you. They're just either walking through, maybe where your bed is, there might be some sort of a portal. I don't know. Could be, which would have a little opening there. But regardless, they're not going to hurt you. And I would say this to everybody out there. If you see things, they're not going to hurt you. It's not about that.
Yeah.
Maybe they just want to say hello, or maybe they you just happen to be at a certain place that they are making their entrance and exits. Something like that. But it's nothing to be afraid of. So once my mom and I had that conversation about that, it took a bit. And some convincing. But you know what? She's not afraid anymore. In fact, that's to your point. Like opening the closet door. It's like, hello, everybody. Really? Come on. I'm trying to sleep. She actually says to them now, I'm trying to sleep. Please, leave me alone. You're bothering me. But she's not afraid. She's taken her own power back. She's not afraid of it at all, as a matter of fact. In fact, some days I'll say, "Oh, Mom, do you see anything?" "Ugh, yeah, you wouldn't believe it. This one walked across, and this one was wearing a jogging suit, and this one was what?" My mom's a doctor. It's not like she's a left brain doctor.
Wow.
Yeah, but she's no longer afraid.
I think that's key.
It's
so
key.
Many people that
it's
are
just
afraid.
to face it.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. And later on, I had another dream of a shark where I was in the water with a shark, and I actually wasn't afraid.
Really?
Yeah. I remember looking at this great white. Yeah, right. Nothing's going to happen. Okay. Now, I'm not saying in the real world.
Yeah, exactly.
But in the dream state, I was fine.
Yeah. And so had you, in that period of your life, had you maybe worked through something?
I had.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually had. And you can tell by your dreams, the more you remember, the more you write down, keep a dream journal, you will see how far you've come in the dream journal.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Oh, yeah. I was looking before we got here today. I was looking at my dream journal from like 2004. Very different where I am now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
so look
funny.
at them, and you'll have even different meanings possibly.
I remember one time your mom, I had dreamt Sydney, my daughter was little, maybe she was like 3 or something like that, and I had dreamt that she'd passed away at night, and I woke up and I was crying and I was horrified, and I went to her and I go, Lou, last night I dreamt that Sydney was, had passed on, and she goes, oh, don't worry about it. She goes, has she been getting on your nerves lately? And I go, well, she's been more ornery lately. And she goes, that's just the unconscious that doesn't have any that doesn't have any
Right.
what is it, like appropriate,
that's so true.
It was, and she was so matter of fact. Oh, don't worry about it. It doesn't mean you literally want your child gone, but it's the unconscious that doesn't have like the same kind of societal, boundaries or
often if you dream that somebody is, dead, maybe you're pissed off at them. You want them gone.
Exactly.
But
not
it doesn't
necessarily
mean that it's going to happen. And
right.
No.
Yeah, not necessarily want them gone, but it's like, the end of whatever they're doing that's pissing you off. So, I mean, it was like, I was just so relieved. And she said it so matter-of-factly that I was like, okay, great. So now I know I knew then not to take dreams literally.
Yes,
just to kind of figure out what.
Now that brings us to another thing. There are certain dreams that are prophetic dreams.
Okay.
And how do you tell?
Well, I actually know of somebody who had dreamt a couple of days before his beloved daughter did die, had a dream about it. So that it does happen. It's probably way more rare. Years ago, before Katrina, I had a dream that I was shown a map. This is about a month or so before Katrina, maybe a couple months before. Maybe, maybe it's even 6 months before. And I saw a map, and Alabama and I think Louisiana were missing from the map. And I remember thinking then, so anything like that would occur, if you have a dream like that, write them down, tell somebody. It could be prophetic. You could have dreams of the future. There are certainly people that have those dreams of the future. So that's important to note too.
But how can you tell the difference, or can you?
You may not be able to tell right away. You may not. Like I did tell my mother when that happened. I did write it down. I remember feeling something was going to happen. Didn't matter. I wouldn't have known when or where necessarily, although in that region I felt something would happen. But then what can you do about it? Nothing. It's just, it was a prophetic dream. And so people do have those. Often also people will have dreams of having a baby. You know those dreams? Have you had any people that have said, "Oh, I've had dreams of
I'm
pregnant"?
I
Or so a lot of times if you have a dream where you're pregnant, well, you could be, but more than often, it's the birth of something new beginning of what you're going to do. And let's say you're a female and you have dream that you have you're pregnant with a male. It could be male energy that you're needing, or a project that you're doing that requires maybe the male energy of how to think that way, like a male.
That's so interesting because it does give you a clue. Into
absolutely.
how into what to do or what
I've also had people that have said to me, how I have a child, say the child, they have a boy or a girl. They'll say, before about 2 years before the baby came to me, they told me their name in a dream, and that's is the name that they will have given the child.
Wow.
You get a lot of that too.
Yeah. And what about for people who dream, that maybe someone's going to pass on and they do, and so they feel like they caused it?
Yes. No, we don't cause that. It's because time is, it's a simple form of saying this, but there's no such thing as time. So it could have been a deja vu. They've already seen that it has happened. So then they connect with the deja vu, and then it happens, but it's not because they cause it to happen at all.
I think that's a really important thing.
Oh, my goodness.
Our mind can really cause us to believe a lot of stuff.
Exactly. And I think we have to trust our intuition when we're trying to...
Which is into the soul.
Yeah.
Intuition.
When we're trying to make sense of these dreams, because they're like, just reading that, there were so many interpretations of what that dream for Shirley could have been. Right. But intuitively, I just said, what is that? What was it trying to teach her? So that, that kind of thing. But which brings up the point that you as mental health professionals, do you study in training, dream interpretation or something to do with dreams, because you must have clients that come to you and say, what's going on with my dreams? Is that part of your study?
Well, it's part of the Jung Institute. They specialize in it. If you're a Jungian, Carl Jung, if you're a Jungian, then they absolutely do interpretation. Dream interpretation is part of therapy. The school that I attended was not. I wish it was. But I've also studied that my whole life.
Well, that's what's interesting, is because being an intuitive and as a medium, and then having to learn dreams from the psychological perspective.
Yeah, it was too limited.
That had to be very interesting.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of...
All I got at UCLA is when we studied Freud for a minute, he wrote a book, Interpretation of Dreams, and it was,
read the book.
Right. The royal, and it was all about, repressed wish fulfillments, and everything with Freud had to be sexual and all that stuff, even though I love him.
Yeah.
But so everything with him was sexual, but that was it.
And that's funny that gorilla, when I read one of the interpretations, was representing sexual.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting to me because it makes me think like what's really going on with the training. It's all someone's opinion really in many ways.
Right, and that's why you always have to check with yourself first. So first thing I'll say to somebody is, what are you feeling? What was the feeling in the dream? Let's say they have no idea. Okay, let me help you. Were you scared? Were you lonely? Were you angry? Were you what was the feeling? Were you anxious? Yes, I was a little anxious. Okay. So you kind of start them that way.
Or was the TV running while you were sleeping?
Right.
That's another thing too.
Yeah.
You start dreaming while you're asleep and the TV's on in the background, which is why they say never have a TV in your bedroom, which I never followed that rule, but yeah.
But I think tuning into how the person felt while they were in the dream is helps me clue into what it may help or represent.
And also, you've learned from me that if they come to you and they say, I had a dream about my brother and the brother had already passed away, then you know that it's a visitation.
Yeah.
You're not just going to have a dream that somebody's passed away already, that it's just a dream. It's not. It's going to be for a message.
Right. Yeah. And what about for those people who may be hearing this and someone who passed away that was very dear to them never comes in their dreams?
And I hear that often. And the funny thing about that is they actually do come to them. They can't recall it. But I know the spirits have told me over and over that they join them in the dream state. Now, remember, on the other side, they're busy too, which is another show that we're going to do. But they're busy on life on the other side. They're busy. But they do make appearances often. So I would encourage everybody, again, to keep a dream journal. Be open-minded. That's the key to everything, is being open-minded, open-hearted about it. They come. My dad came to me, and at one point, it was hilarious, I guess, and he said, now I need to talk to you about my friend so-and-so because my friend so-and-so, who was a famous musician, his son's in jail. And I'm like, what? This isn't a dream. And I'm sound asleep. What, Dad, what do you want me to do exactly about that? What should I do? Well, babe, it was hysterical. So I get those kind of messages.
And was the kid, in fact, in jail?
Yes, he was actually in jail in Mexico. Yeah. So I have decided to do this. What about it? Nothing.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
Wow. So you found that out that the kid was
we
in
went
jail.
online and looked it up.
Oh my God.
My other brother Theo looked it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was so, But I get messages, those kind of messages. Wow. But everybody can get them. It's not just because of me. Everybody can get their own messages. Just be open and say to the person, you know what? Please come to me tonight. You'd be amazed how that. Sometimes you just have to keep, come on, just talk to them a lot.
And do you think sometimes they're more accessible during particular planetary alignments or
question.
Moon?
I think so. Okay. Yes, I do. And I don't know if it's because we're more open then or we're more challenged, so we need the help. I'm not sure really what it is emotionally about that time period.
Is there maybe a stronger energy force?
Maybe, Shirley. Well, it is like a magnetic pull. So it could be. That makes it a little easier. Especially
like with a full moon or an eclipse or something like that. I'm finding that I'm remembering my dreams more so now than I've ever been before.
Really?
Yeah, ever since probably last week. And
wow.
Because normally I don't recall my dreams, so I'm starting to recall them, pretty quickly.
So are you keeping them in a journal?
Well, I'm not. No,
okay.
I'm horrible about writing things down. I'm getting better about it, but I usually type everything,
Oh, okay.
at the computer. But one thing I wanted to ask, though, is what if you see recurring signs in your waking life? Like, for instance, for me, this is one that I've always wanted to ask about because I don't know why it always happens. And it always happens when I'm with friends, too. So I know it's not just me thinking it. I constantly attract ambulances. Yesterday there were
the one we're hearing right now in the background.
Is there one right
Swear
now?
to God.
Oh my God! Just as I asked that question,
oh my goodness!
I had no idea. Shirley. I really did not know.
Because you have the microphone.
I have the headphones on.
Yeah, we don't.
And they
just
don't.
Heard it. Yeah.
I attract
still hear it.
ambulances like crazy. I don't know what that is, but I'll be walking with my friends on the street, whatever, and they're like, "Here's another one," and then I'm like, "I know." I said, "Whenever you're with me, you're going to be." Yesterday, 5 5 of
and
them.
you know what's weird too is I did a reading for another person yesterday, and I said to her, "I hear ambulances around you," and she said, "No, there's none." I said, "Are you sure?" So maybe I was picking up your thing. I'm not sure necessarily what that means. It was definitely a message.
Yeah.
You know, are you on high alert? Are you feeling okay? Are you worried? Are you?
I mean, the only thing when I ask myself intuitively, what does it mean? It's almost like immediacy. That's the only thing, because an ambulance requires everyone to get out of the way because you're coming through, you know. And all the times you see the cars pull, some of them that don't, and that always infuriates me when I see people who don't pay attention to an ambulance. They just keep on going their own way, and they don't yield for one. And that happened yesterday too. So I don't know what that is, but I wanted to ask you about that, Kellee, because it's been coming up even more so, and especially yesterday, 5 or 6.
Interesting.
And I said that, and I was in an Uber car, and I said to the Uber driver, I said, I don't know if that's a sign. He goes, no, it's not. And he immediately did like a cross.
Sign of the cross or something. That's hilarious.
Because not, you know.
Maybe that's a good thing to do.
Yeah, right. But I said, I don't think it's necessarily a negative thing, and it's been going on for a long time in my life. And it will be a lot of times I'll be walking with someone down the street, and it happens quite frequently.
Are you there to help people?
Well, whenever for the most part, not always, but for the most part, when I hear one, I always, say a prayer, or I send angels or something like that.
Oh, there you go.
That would be the answer then, probably for you.
So that's it.
But now they've been showing up at my apartment building, not for me, but for other people in the building.
Really?
Yeah.
So are you then saying a lot of prayers? Do
Well,
you find yourself in constant prayer?
Yeah, it's just interesting that it's been, before it's just on the street wherever I'm at, but now they're showing up at the apartment building. So it's like, not for me, thank God.
Okay, that's good.
But yeah, I just find that,
That's interesting. It would seem like maybe because you're one to take a moment and send them angels
and I need to do
light
it more often.
Maybe that's, I don't know.
And life is precious.
This is your area, not mine.
Yeah, well, if you were having these dreams in your dreams, but it's in your waking
it's in my
state.
Waking
it's a message. Well, what you just said about sending angels. Do you see 444 often, or 4444?
I do. I see a lot of the numbers, like the 333, 444, which is angels, 111, 1111. Yeah.
So you see a lot of that. I mean, you're really attuned to a lot of things.
Yeah.
You just may be very attuned to what's going on, and in that space that you're going, that somebody has been hurt. You may be very attuned to that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of bizarre. And that was so weird that I had to say it
interesting.
as you're hearing one.
You're saying it, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Is that really a siren that I'm hearing? And it was.
Yeah, that's funny.
was
Well, you know
So
what? And one of the
interesting.
times that I came to the station, you greeted me, and there had just been a major accident on the corner. A major accident on the corner.
I remember
It was
that.
hard for it to get by.
Yeah.
Oh boy, John, I don't know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you hear about the guy? I thought it was really interesting. One of the guys, remember one of the Americans in France that was in France, and he stopped the underground thing. Remember
Yes.
that? Well, he happened to be doing Dancing with the Stars, but that shooting that was in Oregon the other day, he was actually assigned to go to that school.
Oh.
Oh,
I thought that was
really?
interesting. I thought, I wonder what that was about. Other than maybe somebody like that is on real
Like
high
an
alert.
intervention sort of thing.
Somebody to do interventions,
Wow.
somebody to be
Yeah.
there.
Wow.
That is interesting because
Yeah.
it's,
There's some sort of connect. We're
When
all
I say-
connected.
yeah.
We're all
Yeah.
connected.
when I say coincidence, I don't believe in
No,
coincidence. but
not if it
that's,
happens 5 times in a row.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's kind
I mean,
of,
I know we live in a big city and that's going to happen. I mean, but to be where they're always at, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I don't live necessarily by a fire department or any of that.
Right,
so,
right.
yeah.
So just a reminder, if anybody wants to call in, what's the number, John?
Yeah, it's 323-284-7826.
So
That's
if
7
anyone-
UBN.
And if anyone wants to call in and share with us
Yeah,
your
share us with
dreams
their
or something,
dreams or-
let us know. We've got 5 more minutes, and I wanted to just throw that out there. So,
And I'll look up ambulance to see if there's any
find out.
particular,
Yeah, yeah.
online what that means.
And also recurring dreams. That's a really important one too. So if you're having recurring dreams, it's about they're trying to wake you up on something. I don't care what the recurring dream is. There's a real strong message there. Some people have come to me and said, I've had this recurring dream for, my whole life.
yeah. I've heard that too, that some people have it. What about teeth dreams? That's
Oh,
such
that's
a
a good
common
one.
one
Yeah.
where your teeth fall out.
Anger, Will Robinson.
Really?
Oh yeah, teeth.
Teeth falling out, or
Oh,
just
yeah.
teeth in general?
Teeth falling out, they're real bad. They must be so pissed. Oh,
Really?
as soon as I hear somebody about that, yeah. Oh, really? Now that I can go to a real psychological place. Oh, yeah.
Now, teeth in general as well?
Teeth in general, anger, yeah. Because apparently we store anger in our clenching, right?
The clenching.
Clenching.
It's so interesting that you should say that because there's an exercise in somatic experiencing that works with the jaw. And it does release anger. Anger,
okay.
yeah, because the jaw is the beginning of, where the fight.
Right.
Because yelling is part of the fight response.
Oh, wow. That makes sense.
So there's an exercise where you just open your mouth just until you feel the resistance, and then you close it again really slow, and then open. You do that about 3 times, just like this.
Yeah.
Open and close just until you feel the resistance. And it is amazing how all of a sudden there's this, calmness. When people are telling me something, and I ask, what are you noticing? And they'll say, well, I notice my jaw's tight. Then many times I'll go to that exercise and it really reduces.
So then that would mean if somebody comes to you, a patient comes to you and says, I've had a dream where my teeth have fallen out, then for you would immediately now probably think, oh, there's anger there, and then maybe do that exercise.
Right. Now understanding that, then I would explore about, anger, most certainly.
See how that all works together, the psychology and the
It really
the
does.
spirituality. It all really helps work together in that.
Yeah, and adding the somatic piece.
Adding the
body.
somatic piece and adding totems, whatever the message is from totems. That's going to be really important too.
Somebody came in and said they had a dream about a wild boar. Do you know what that?
We'd have to look that up. I'm not sure.
Totem for the wild boar?
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
Yeah, because each one has, even insects, right? Ants,
ants, bees, skunks. Skunks can bring a lot of beauty to somebody. Actually, it's the opposite of what you think.
Yeah. Well, and snakes. I'm deathly afraid of snakes, but you've taught me that that's more life.
It's life force, vital life force. It's your kundalini energy running up.
Yeah.
That's a good one, actually. It's a real powerhouse. There are certain ones that are more powerful than others. I have had my whole life reoccurring dreams of tigers. And recently I had a dream, this was a couple of weeks ago, where I saw a black tiger, a white tiger, a red tiger, all colors, 6 tigers all at once. And it was persistence.
Oh, really?
Tigers, persistence and determination. But my whole life, I have felt these tigers around me. I had one dream once where I had, in my backyard, I had St. Francis there, which was interesting. When you have a dream of a saint, it's a real visit. They come and visit. And St. Francis is of animals. He loves animals. But he came and there was a giant bear, and I looked at the bear, and I remember thinking, the bear actually told me his name, which I actually have written down somewhere. It was an odd name. And he had his arm around me, and he was talking to me, and he was there to protect me, and that was wild.
Funny.
Oh, yeah.
So I looked up boars. That means that it's a protection totem. So mother boars are supernatural in the protection department. They go absolutely berserk if they detect the slightest hint of threat to their babies. So you stick to the litters to ensure that they survive their new environment. They are solitary creatures, preferring the company of themselves rather than hanging out in a group. They don't have many predators because they're pretty, let's see.
Pretty tough themselves.
So would your client, your patient, be trying to be protected? Would he or she need protection?
Yeah, actually, it really fits in.
Cool.
To what they were.
Solitary protection, mothering, defense.
They do say, the studies. Yeah, the studies that they've been done in science on dreams, they actually say that if you analyze or if you, notate somebody's dreams, like 100 of their dreams, it does tell you a lot about them. It's like they're saying that it's very similar to like a thumbprint, a fingerprint of the person. If you were to just jot down, not even try to analyze, because the scientists don't really believe in that just yet. But if you wrote down like 1,000 of the person's dream, that it would be so much like them, about things about them, that it's almost like their fingerprint. So I thought that was really fascinating.
Really fascinating. Yeah.
An ambulance means, well, in a dream state anyway, it represents urgent decisions or doing whatever it takes to deal with problems. Ambulance reflects an emotional or situational crisis or problem that requires a quick response, a need to act quickly, feeling that there's a need for quick or urgent action, which makes sense when I said about the urgency kind of thing. I don't know what that necessarily is in my life, but that I constantly see them.
Well, something to think about, because even if people don't believe in this, it gives you something to think about and something to maybe consider. And if it doesn't fit, then it doesn't fit. Who cares?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
But many times it does fit, and I wanted to say this before we finished, the totems, from what you've taught me, Kellee, it's not even just in dreams. If you're driving by and a skunk crosses
great
your path,
point.
or
Absolutely.
a squirrel.
So
or,
a totem can come, of course, in your sleep, but my goodness.
In waking
And
life, yeah.
I did a reading for somebody again yesterday, or it was Friday actually, and I said the person who had passed on was telling me that there were crows everywhere. I said that I was working with the son of, and I said, he's telling me that there were crows that you had just seen crows, and he was telling me that he was providing those crows, and he said, well, yes, as I got in the car, there were three crows sitting on the car, and so they, on the other side, they can work and manipulate a lot. You'll see, like hummingbirds or I don't know, crows or eagles or any kind of thing.
Blue
Whatever's in your
jays,
area, they can kind of manipulate.
Right. To take a moment to maybe just look it up and see if it's something that pertains, and see if it's a message, and if not, who cares? It doesn't
absolutely.
matter. Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's
Well,
helpful.
thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We hope that this was enjoyable and maybe taught you a thing or two. And we will see you next week. Have a wonderful afternoon.
You've been listening to Both Sides Now, featuring the unconventional duo Dr. Shirley and Kellee White. Two perspectives, one world.